A long time ago, on a peaceful day, the Demon King invaded the land. An unknown hero, who looked like he was from Dark Souls and had a faith build, appeared. During their final battle, the hero sacrificed himself to defeat the Demon King and save the world. The Demon King descended deep underground and fell into a slumber, with the promise of rising and returning again one day. As the world became peaceful, the hero turned into a legend. This overly sophisticated story of the Demon King and the hero will keep repeating itself forever. However, after a very long time, in the present day, we see a place that looks like a dungeon. A tentacled-haired humanoid monster is guarding the place. He informs his master, the Demon King, who is badly injured. The humanoid monster kneels down and reports about a demon named Demiurgos. He is the 666th demon and has awakened. As soon as he did, Demiurgos left the demon realm. Demiurgos stated that he quits being the Demon King, which of course surprises the former Demon King. He is confused and doesn't believe what the tentacle-headed monster is saying. The humanoid explains that Demiurgos ran away, leaving a note saying he quit being the Demon King, much like a teenager running away from home. Elsewhere, a white-haired man is roaming around a kingdom at Arkoma Castle. As he marvels at the place, he expects a lot from the human realm, which he has heard so much about. He laughs with joy and feels cozy there. However, there is one thing he hates about the place: the huge holy cross at the top of the castle, which makes him uncomfortable and annoyed. Suddenly, he hears someone calling him, referring to him as a bumpkin kid and asking where he came from. As he turned around, he saw two holy guards approaching him. They asked the white-haired man why he was walking around like that and where he thought he was. The man didn't understand what the guards were talking about, as he was from another country. He wondered if their hostility was because of his appearance or clothing. The guards, frustrated, pointed their halberds at him and demanded to know his name and why he was there. It was revealed that this white-haired man was Demiurgos, but he didn't want to disclose his true identity as the Demon King. Instead, he introduced himself as Deus. Suddenly, a higher-ranking officer appeared and heard Deus's name. He stated that claiming the name of an ancient god was offensive, especially in the capital of the Verde Kingdom. This higher officer, a count named Bru, told Deus that if he was unaware of the significance of the name, he would be forgiven this once and asked him to leave immediately. However, Deus smiled gleefully and asked if the Verde King was strong. This question angered Bru, but Deus persisted, questioning whether their kingdom was strong enough to take him out. Bru, infuriated, shouted at Deus, demanding how he dared to insult the royal family. With fury on his face, Bru declared that Deus would pay with his life. But with just one gaze, Deus caused Bru's head to explode instantly, shocking all the guards. Moments later, the guards' heads also exploded, leading a very mind-blowing experience. As the three men lay dead, the other guards panicked. With a flick of his fingers, Deus made all the guards' heads explode. Now a threat to the kingdom, Deus faced a barrage of arrows, but they had no effect on him. The arrows melted before they could touch him, and he swiftly murdered the remaining guards. Minutes later, Deus chanted, "Arise and greet your new king." The corpses floated and formed a cross as their blood gushed onto the floor. Deus declared that he praised the steps he took with their blood, blessing their body's ascension with their tears. The remaining guards were alerted and rushed to see what was happening. Deus smashed the giant doors of the kingdom and told them to use their screams as trumpets for him. Suddenly, a cloud of dark souls emerged from his body, attacking and murdering all the soldiers inside instantly. Screams and cries echoed throughout the castle. Deus smiled like a child, enjoying their torment. Amidst the chaos, one man was praying gracefully, not for mercy, but for a fight. Deus noticed him, shining radiantly as he unsheathed his sword, which emitted a beautiful golden light, filling the room with a holy glow. Deus recognized the light and called it the Light of Aura. He asked the man if he was the man named Blood, having heard about him. Blood responded that he didn't know who Deus was, but he noticed Deus using black magic. Blood found it unbelievable that Deus had broken through Arkoma Castle's defenses by himself. However, Blood, as someone who has received the god's blessing, vowed that Deus wouldn't get past him. Rushing towards Deus, Blood declared that he might not be a pure blood hero, but he would still defeat him. With a single strike, Blood shattered the castle floor with unbelievable strength. Thinking the fight was over, he was shocked to see Deus casually grab the sword without any trouble. Deus asked if it was his turn next. Mocking Blood, Deus began to pray, taunting him by pretending to ask for divine assistance as well. As Deus was about to break the holy sword, he asked Blood which of their gods would listen to their prayers. With that, Deus broke the sword and then grabbed Blood's heart. He looked at Blood and told him never to bring up God in front of him again. Deus then suddenly crushed Blood's heart right in front of him. After Blood's death, Deus entered the throne room where all the guards were protecting their king. They were all surprised that one man had murdered all the guards outside, but they reassured their king as they were the elite, the final defense line for their ruler. The king looked at Deus and asked who he was. Deus noticed the king sitting on the throne and asked if they should start their conversation. One knight, hearing Deus's disrespectful tone, pointed his sword at him. With a snap of his fingers, Deus made their heads disappear, much like Thanos. Still smiling, Deus asked if anyone else in the room wanted to complain. Everyone remained speechless. Deus then flew closer to the king with his wings, laughing as he looked down at him and asking if they should start talking. The king, scared, asked if Deus wanted money, power, or nobility. But Deus didn't want any of that. Instead, he wanted the king's entire kingdom. This baffled the king, who thought it was impossible. Deus, annoyed, stated that if the king couldn't give it to him, he would just take it himself, even the king's royal family. The king became furious upon hearing this, assuming that Deus wanted his daughter, April. However, Deus didn't even know the king had a daughter and wasn't interested in her at all. Deus told him that he didn't need April. What he needed was the royal family. The king, still furious, asked why Deus desired something that wasn't his. This made Deus even more annoyed. He asked if the kingdom truly belonged to the king. Naturally, the king claimed it did, as it was rightfully his. With a menacing look, Deus asked since when, further questioning if the world belonged to the king as well. Deus noted that the king had taken something that belonged to someone else and enjoyed every moment of it, so in Deus's mind, he could do the same. The king shouted at Deus, asking if he thought the Sanctus Maximus Populi would acknowledge him. Hearing that name, Deus was very surprised and even laughed, then suddenly filled with rage and annoyance. His aura exploded as he declared that he didn't care about what the king said. The blast was so powerful it destroyed the castle and the huge cross that Deus truly hated. The knights, servants, and the king were burned alive, leaving all of them dead. Deus then looked around and spoke to the dead king, noting that it seemed he didn't have any blood of the hero. He further commented that if the king did, he would have been able to withstand a few more seconds, thinking about how boring they all were. Deus looked up at the sky and told God that he was very disappointed in the humans, stating that none of them were prepared at all. Shockingly, God answered as a beam of light appeared through the window. Now, Deus thought that it would be a while before the real and pure blood awakened, estimating about 20 more years, marking it as the day that he usually descends. After destroying the castle, Deus heard a scream and saw a beautiful princess crying after the castle was destroyed and her father's death. While weeping, she asked who Deus was. The story shifts to where the last demons of the first war descended into the demonic realm with the demon king's broken soul and put it in a new body, pouring in all sorts of magic and curses into the demon king for 100 years, then resurrecting him once again. They thought that there were no heroes anymore, so they could finally take over the land. However, a strong hero appears that they didn't expect, and so they were defeated once again. Again, the demons resurrected a new demon king for 100 years. However, another hero showed up again who was willing to fight the demon king. This continued, and every time another hero would show up. This repeated 665 times and kept going on for 66,580 years. But in the underground, thinking that this is really the final one, they said we can see inside the eyes of Deus, praising him as the new king, that all the demons plead with him to come and show their ways. Now this time, they put in all their might and resurrected the 666th demon king, who was of course named Demiurgos or Deus. He was known as the bringer of despair to all humans on earth. He opened his eyes that day, and that was the day he escaped his captors. Now that we have uncovered Deus's story, let's go back to where the princess confronted Deus, questioning him about what he did to her father. But Deus didn't care. Instead, he wondered who the woman was. Then Deus remembered that the king mentioned his daughter, who is April. And so Deus asked if she was Princess April, stating that her father is dead and now is his time to take the princess and ascend the throne. The princess was shocked to hear what Deus said, but with a flick of his hand, he cast a spell that made Princess April kneel and obey his orders, stating that from now on, her body is his. Deus then approaches April and agrees that from now on, she is his first human. As Deus is about to kiss the princess, he senses someone lurking and tells that person to stop peeking and come out. Suddenly, a portal appears. Deus is surprised that someone managed to notice it, and then the portal opens up. An edgy, gothic vampire dude appears, introducing himself as one of his loyal subjects named Alex. Deus asks if Alex has been following him all this time. Alex tells the truth, saying that wherever Deus goes, he will go as well, as he is always with him. But Deus thinks this is nonsense, knowing Alex served his father, not him. To this, Alex responds that Deus's body has been passed down by his ancestors themselves, and right now he is alone. However, Deus doesn't really care about that and tells Alex that he's not going back to the demon realm anymore. Surprisingly, Alex obeys his wishes without question, which surprises Deus. Alex smiles and tells Deus that he will only follow his orders and asks him to continue what he was doing. This surprises Deus, who asks what he meant. Alex guesses that Deus will put his mighty seed in the princess. It was Alex's first time in 8 years of his demonic soul period to see Deus grown up. He has never left Deus, even from the day he was born, recalling the sacrifices made for him. Alex even breastfed him during his childhood, changing his own body. This, of course, surprises Deus to hear, and I mean, it surprises me as well. It is disgusting to see. Alex became the perfect teacher, providing true affectionate education. He remembers beating Deus as part of his love, being the only demon who gave him affection until the end, until Deus entered the Egg of Awakening. This, of course, made Deus mad. While Alex remembers the cherished moments and feels nostalgic that Deus is now all grown up, Deus remains furious after discovering what Alex had done to him. As they set aside the past, Deus tells Alex that he is no longer doing the Demon King stuff. As of today, he has been reborn as a normal human being. Alex just smirks and sarcastically agrees, saying, "Yeah, sure, man, whatever you do." Naturally, this makes Deus suspicious of Alex. He forces Alex to tell the truth, asking what he is scheming since he notices that Alex is letting him do whatever he wants. Alex then questions if there is a reason or a special reason why Deus chose to attack that country. But Deus doesn't really know how to answer, asking for a reason himself. Alex explains that if he invaded his territory or coveted the riches of the demonic ground, or at the very least because he wasn't happy, there should be a reason. He asks why Deus chose that country. Deus responds that he doesn't really have one. He just figured he'd rather live as a king if he's going to live as a human. Suddenly, Alex claps, applauding him. He thinks it's fitting of the Demon King, considering that as soon as Deus came to Earth, he took over the largest kingdom, murdered the king, and confronted the princess. Alex thinks that behavior is befitting of a Demon King. Knowing that a normal human being or even a high-ranking demon like Alex himself could never dare to imagine something like that makes Deus think he messed up, realizing that it wasn't really a normal human thing to do. Furthermore, Alex tells him that since the Great Lord himself says he'd abandon them and not be the Demon King, he shall take his son down to the demon realm and raise him as the Demon King. Thus, on that day, after 20 years, Alex tells Deus that his son shall be the Demiurgos, the 666th, and he will make him descend to that world. This leaves Deus speechless. He looks at Princess April and realizes that he almost became a father to a child at the young age of 8 years old, making Alex realize that Deus won't make a baby. As Alex disagrees with Deus's plans, Deus then uses a roar like a laser beam through his mouth. The beam went through the castle and hit the mountains, causing a huge explosion. In anger, Deus doesn't accept that he almost got set up by Alex. On the other hand, in Alex's mind, he thinks of Deus as different. Knowing that his Demon King field isn't even completed yet, and yet he is that strong, Alex realizes that the 666th is definitely different from his predecessors. Alex thinks that this time they might actually win. Meanwhile, now that Deus realizes what he is doing isn't normal, he doesn't plan to become a king. Instead, he will become the defender of justice, a hero's ally. This, of course, shocks Alex. In Deus's thoughts, he will be with the hero but one step behind so that he won't stand out, planning to trick the hero and become an ally. Alex begs Deus not to do that plan, explaining that without a Demon King, there is no hero, asking how he can be the hero's ally. Deus responds that they will just go find the hero, but then Alex asks what they are going to do with the princess. Deus doesn't care, telling Alex to deal with it himself. Elsewhere, we see a woman smiling, thinking that the 666th is faulty goods. She notes that not only are his origins lowly, but he is also intelligent. This will work in her favor because all she needs are Deus' powers. She appears to be a strong-looking woman, and she might be the hero in this story. Deus and Alex are now traveling in search of the hero. As Deus enjoys his day, singing about how to find the hero, Alex asks him why they are taking a carriage when they can fly. Deus questions Alex if he plans on going everywhere advertising that he is a demon. Alex is surprised to hear this from a demon who destroyed a kingdom, but Deus doesn't care about what he said. Alex then asks if Deus really plans to be the companion of a hero. Deus smiles and says that it's okay to be a companion even if they don't have the hero's blood yet. Deus' dream is to have a simple life at the top 2% of wealthy people. However, Alex points out that even if Deus becomes a hero's companion, it will be hard to reach the top 2%. Deus retorts by mentioning that the previous demon king and one of the greatest 7 in the demon world is present, questioning what there is to worry about. Deus also asks if there is still a ranking system, to which Alex confirms that there is, based on letters. The first rank is D for Dragon Slayer, someone who can slay dragons. The next rank is G for Giant Slayer, someone who can fight giants. L rank for Lich Slayer is someone who can destroy a lich. The ranks continue in alphabetical order. Alex is not well versed in the hero management department, but mentions the lowest rank, F, for failed products. These individuals are considered so useless that if they were fruit, they'd be the ones fallen to the ground and made into jam. Deus pities them. Alex tells Deus that higher-ranked individuals receive more support from nobles or can obtain positions in the country. Failures, on the other hand, are neglected and unwanted. However, there is something more important than hero rankings: blood. Deus explains that the closer they are to being pure blood, the stronger they are. The first one who saved the world 66,580 years ago, along with the savior, hero, and priestess, had children who continued the bloodline called the Holy Blood. The purer the blood in a family, the stronger the aura they can use. The one with the purest blood becomes the hero, fighting the general and winning 665 times. Now Deus wonders about the purity level and whether being a pure blood leads to a higher hero rank. To him, it is just nonsense, but Alex doesn't think about that. He knows that heroes are putting their lives on the line. Deus doesn't care because he knows that both humans and demons will fight. He is sick of everyone fighting for 60,000 years just because of some prophecy. As he lays down, he questions Alex about having a simple life like he did today. For the first time, Deus sees all the good things on Earth, like beautiful butterflies and the strong, cool breeze from the plains. Alex, of course, knows about these things and teaches him. Lastly, Deus looks up at the sky. The warm sun blinds him, yet he feels a warm sensation while smelling the scent of spring. He can't help but ask Alex, realizing that he must have lived a long time to know so much about the outside world. Alex responds that he has been visiting the human realm every 100 years since the First War. Deus thinks that's nice, noting that the last demon hasn't felt anything like what Deus is feeling now. Now that he has experienced the small, good things on the surface, he is glad he ran away. He wishes the job of Demon King would just disappear. Afterwards, they went into the village, continuing their discussion about the ranking of the heroes. Deus then heard a rumor about a castle that was destroyed by a dragon, even though dragons were supposed to be extinct in that world. Deus mentioned this, and Alex remembered the last time he saw a dragon, about 80 years ago, thinking that something significant must have happened at that time. They then reached the most famous and expensive hotel in the village. The owner greeted them, and Alex asked for an expensive penthouse for his master. However, the owner, judging them by their appearance, discriminated against them, assuming they were from the countryside. But when Alex showed the treasure taken from Arkoma Castle, the owner was surprised and called for the bellboy named Hollybeesh. Yes, seriously, that was his name in this story. The bellboy introduced himself as Zeke Pan Hollybeesh, but they could call him Zeke. He then helped the two to their room, showcasing the highlight of their hotel, the expensive penthouse. Zeke expressed gratitude as it was his first time serving nobles and hoped for a satisfying service. Suddenly, Deus noticed something about Zeke and asked him if he had the blood, as Deus sensed he felt different from other humans. Zeke confirmed this, and Deus realized that Zeke had a poor physique and was working a low-paying job, indicating he was from a fallen family descended from the two heroes in Zornix. This meant Zeke's family had low purity in their bloodline. Deus asked about his blood purity, and Zeke revealed that he was only F rank, so-called the failed product. Suddenly, flames burst inside the penthouse out of nowhere. Outside, they saw a giant flaming dragon rampaging through the village. Zeke told the two to evacuate, but he noticed that they were surprisingly calm about the situation. Deus even commented that dragons are usually neutral. Nevertheless, Zeke called out to them, but Deus decided that from now on, he would become Zeke's supporter as Zeke needed to become the hero. Deus revealed to Zeke that he was looking for a hero and thought their meeting was fated. He offered Zeke the kind of wealth and fame he could only dream of, promising to even rid him of his title as a failed product. Deus pressured Zeke to accept by manipulating him, asking if he wanted to remain a bellboy or rise and become a hero. He emphasized that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Zeke thought about this and remembered his past, growing up poor with his siblings and no parents. This, of course, enticed Zeke, and he bowed down to Deus, asking for his support. He was willing to give Deus everything, even his soul. Deus agreed and decided to create a contract first. He summoned the contract rules and all its conditions. As Zeke saw the contract, he thought it was unbelievably unfair, which was true. He then instructed Zeke to state his name to finalize the contract. Despite hesitating due to the contract's terms, Zeke, driven by the prospect of fame and fortune, shouted his name. Deus smiled at Zeke's resolve, and he assigned Zeke his first mission: to slay the dragon as his debut. This shocked Zeke, and even Alex agreed, acknowledging that humans couldn't normally slay a dragon. Deus planned for Zeke to appear to slay the dragon, while in reality it would be Alex. The plan was for Alex to slay the dragon and then drop it to Zeke, who would be seen swinging the sword at the dragon, making him the hero of the village. However, Alex voiced concerns about the riskiness of the plan, especially since everyone knew Zeke was an F rank, which could raise suspicions among the villagers. Additionally, Alex questioned whether being a D-rank hero companion made him stand out too much for peace. Deus then looked at Zeke and began to rip his shirt off. He then proceeded to take a pot and laser beam some holes in it. And voila, a homemade DIY superhero costume for Zeke, the masked hero. Deus commented about his suit that a hero has to wear a cape and undies so that he can hide his identity. Now the only thing to do is to appear to be the mysterious new hero. Alex is now ready to go get the dragon. On the other hand, we can see Zeke, who is embarrassed about how he looks. Deus then kicks his weapon to him like Levi Ackerman, revealing that the weapon is just an ordinary broom. Deus tells him that he just needs to stand there holding it like that, even if the dragon is right in front of him. He promises Zeke fame and fortune far beyond what he can handle. But in Zeke's mind, he has a weird feeling that he couldn't understand at the time. Suddenly, he tightens his grip as if he could destroy whatever came his way. Zeke starts to shout as his eyes glow with extreme desire. This might be due to something in Zeke's blood, the instinct of a hero that had been sleeping in his hemoglobin. The hero of the blood wants to rip the Demon King before him to shreds, although Zeke probably doesn't understand this yet. Zeke explains his feelings, saying that he started to gain the courage to pursue fame and fortune. So Zeke continues to go save the village. Meanwhile, the dragon is still rampaging through the village. Alex appears from his portal just as the dragon is about to approach. He reveals his power, multiple arms appearing on his back. He then jumps towards the dragon, rides it, and begins to control it as he reaches for the dragon's heart. Once he obtains its heart, the dragon shouldn't resist him or his commands. Alex wants to ask the dragon why it appeared in the first place, knowing that dragons and humans came to a peace agreement hundreds of years ago. Then Alex noticed something on the back of the dragon, a purple virus-like thing controlling it. The dragon started to speak demonic phrases, which shocked Alex. He wondered how a dragon could know such a filthy language and realized something must have gone wrong. Meanwhile, Zeke was waiting for Alex to control the dragon. Some villagers noticed Zeke and wondered if he was going to attack the dragon, thinking he might be a hero. However, others thought he looked like some kind of pervert due to his unusual attire, which made Zeke feel embarrassed. As Zeke stood there, Deus cheered him on, calling him the masked hero so that everyone could hear. This gave Zeke courage as he remembered that today was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for fame and fortune that he shouldn't miss. Back with Alex, he tried to command the dragon, but it resisted. Alex realized it would be hard to control the dragon and knew he had no choice but to do something drastic. He began to multiply his hands, calling forth the 100 demonic hands. After grabbing the dragon, Alex pierced its heart, causing the dragon immense pain. However, Alex made a mistake. The virus started to catch up to him as well, and the dragon began to talk for some reason. The virus-like thing started to corrupt Alex, aiming for his head. Deus noticed that Alex was taking his time and wondered if he was creating a dragon by hand. He couldn't understand why it was taking so long for Alex to destroy one. But then the dragon started to fall, so Deus told Zeke to get ready. He instructed him to time his swing perfectly to hit the dragon. However, Zeke noticed something bad about the dragon and called out to Deus, saying he didn't want to die. Deus just laughed, promising on his name that no matter what happened, he wouldn't let Zeke die. This activated the hero genes within Zeke's blood. With determination and confidence, he shouted his skill, Moonlight Glow, first chapter, and prepared to hit the dragon. Meanwhile, on the back of the dragon, Alex was struggling with the virus stinging his face, shouting in pain. All his hands emerged from his back again, and surprisingly, eyes appeared on his palms. Half of Alex's consciousness was still there, fighting against the virus for control of his body, which he found troublesome. With no other choice, Alex called upon his skill again. 100 demonic hands, the 1000 glows whip. His hands twirled around like whips as he tried to get rid of the virus. Deus watched from above as Alex struggled. Thinking out loud, he told Alex to slow down a bit, or their hero would be crushed to death. Moments later, Zeke and the villagers saw the dragon about to hit the village, causing everyone to panic. Though nervous, Zeke didn't back down and never gave up. Deus noticed Alex was out of control and realized he couldn't be stopped. Zeke, fully trusting Deus, resolved to strike the dragon down in just one move. He remembered his father teaching him about the Moonlight Glow technique, a secret sword art passed down in their family. His father told him to learn it for the time when the Demon King's army would invade their world again. No matter what anyone says about that skill, the Holy Beach family has the holy blood of the hero running through their veins. Zeke will, without a doubt, be a cool hero who participates in the subjugation of the Demon King, and he should learn this skill well. This was his time. Zeke readied his attack, Moonlight Glow, first chapter. At the same time, Deus unleashed his skill, Doom's Guillotine. Surprisingly, Zeke started to glow like a paladin. However, the attack that murdered the dragon wasn't his but Deus's. This had been their plan all along. When Zeke opened his eyes, he was surprised to find himself covered in the dragon's blood. The villagers, witnessing this, believed Zeke to be the hero sent by the gods. Deus called out to him, instructing him to change and hide quickly, and so he did. Meanwhile, Alex, still slightly affected by the virus, noticed the dragon starting to speak. The dragon stated, "The one who was thought to be dead has now returned." The next day, after a good night's sleep, Deus woke up feeling refreshed. Alex, fully recovered from the virus, acted like a butler, serving coffee to Deus. Zeke, who was also there and badly injured, rested beside Deus. He informed him that the whole village was out and about, looking for the masked hero and talking about how they wanted to make him the village's hero. Deus smiled, pleased that everything was going according to his plan. He found waking up in the morning with the sunlight and enjoying a good cup of coffee to be refreshing. Outside, the villagers were helping each other rebuild their village. They cleaned up the rubble and fixed various things, while the women and children handed out food to the workers. Zeke, too, helped out the villagers, smiling as he knew he had done a lot for his village. Meanwhile, Deus and Alex observed the villagers' hard work with curiosity. To them, this sense of community and dedication was very different. Alex asked about Zeke's past, and Zeke shared that he had done odd jobs since he was young. His family was poor, and raising a hero was expensive, so he had to do laundry, cleaning, and other kinds of work. Zeke was a very hardworking man. Hearing this, Deus decided that since they had found the hero he wanted and knowing that traveling around was annoying, he would plan to stay in the village. It was small and insignificant, but he liked it. It marked the beginning of his new life as a human. Deus was excited to sell the dragon leather, knowing it was expensive, with their second goal being to become part of the top 2%. However, Alex told him that the Heroes Bureau had taken all of it last night. Since the corpses of dragons are so strong, normal people couldn't handle them, so the Heroes Bureau took charge. This news made Deus furious. In his anger, Deus wanted revenge and planned to go to the Heroes Bureau to destroy it. Alex was surprised by this, knowing it was a dumb plan. The Heroes Bureau is the main base of the heroes, and no matter how strong Deus was, fighting the heroes alone was impossible. If they found out the Demon King was in the demon realm, it would be over for them. Alex tried to reason with Deus, reminding him about their goal of becoming companions to the heroes. He explained that in the human realm, Deus had to register at the Heroes Bureau to become a hero. He pointed out that if the Heroes Bureau were to disappear, no one would acknowledge Zeke as a hero. This made Deus realize the importance of the Heroes Bureau, and he began to reconsider his plan. Alex felt reassured, but then Deus suddenly proposed another plan to recoup his losses from the neighboring country. This made Alex even more annoyed and nervous. Despite his reservations, the two of them traveled to the neighboring country. Alex questioned Deus, noting that they had enjoyed the service long enough. He asked why they didn't head back, as all the demons were waiting for Deus's return. Alex reminded him that their faith had been 20 years in the making and they couldn't waste time. Deus needed to hurry and learn the Demon King's heart to take over the world. But Deus didn't care about that. He saw no reason to act just because others wanted him to. Alex stated that a Demon King would eventually appear and attack the human realm, seeing it as an obvious necessity. However, Deus argued that just because the 665 Demon Kings before him had doubled the demon realm and attacked humans, it didn't mean it was mandatory. To them, it was as natural as breathing. Deus questioned Alex, asking why a god would even be needed if everything worked out according to their wishes. He suggested that this was a good experience to think over and accept that there might not be a Demon King anymore. This made Alex nervous and angry, arguing that it didn't matter who the ruler was as long as there was a child to put in the 666 team if needed. But Deus didn't care anymore. Alex was determined and refused to leave until Deus agreed to provide an heir to take back underground. Deus reluctantly agreed, seeing that Alex wouldn't give up, and decided to reside permanently with Alex acting as his servant. Seeing this as an opportunity, Alex offered to search for a wife for Deus, suggesting that he could find the best woman for him. But Deus, aware of Alex's motives, declined. He promised that if Alex mentioned marriage again, he would destroy the demon realm himself instead. Minutes had passed as they continued traveling when suddenly Deus became interested in something. "Does that even work?" he asked, but Alex didn't know what he was talking about. Deus was blushing and thinking about the princess from before. He was talking about sex, but Alex didn't understand, so Deus explained he was curious about human pregnancy and whether demons and humans were compatible. Alex explained, making Deus very interested and excited. He told Deus that the method by which demons and humans mate is actually the same. Alex explained the scientific aspects without delving into the naughty details, which bored Deus, making him look like a student bored in class. Deus asked him to stop the sex education. Alex then told him that if Deus really wanted to do it, he could make his demonic sperm flow into the other party's body automatically. He explained that any direct intercourse would lead to pregnancy with a success rate of 99.9%. With just a deep kiss, the chances were 50%, and surprisingly, with just a peck, there was a 25% chance of getting a girl pregnant. This, of course, surprised Deus. He was baffled that demonic sperm could almost get him in trouble and realized his body was meant for reproducing. The purpose of his body seemed clear: to murder and have descendants. The more he learned about it, the more he started to dislike it. However, Alex thought of it as a blessing. He believed Deus had a perfect body bestowed by God and that he was the hope and savior of the demon realm. But Deus didn't want that. He felt like he was just a part printed out every 100 years, and he didn't like the feeling of having so much expected of him. He asked Alex for his opinion instead. Suddenly, they heard a scream. From afar, they saw a woman running away from mountain bandits chasing her. She saw the two and pleaded for help. Alex asked Deus if they should save the beautiful girl. However, Deus found it suspicious. He noted that a girl suddenly running towards them for help seemed odd, especially since there was nothing blocking the view around them. He wondered where the bandits came from, considering they could see the forest all the way over there. More importantly, he wondered if the bandits thought they wouldn't notice them while they were chasing the girl. Deus suspected that Alex had set this up to make him barren hair, but Alex assured him he wouldn't allow such a bad idea to pass. Alex, the greatest strategist of the demon realm, knew it would be a bad idea. The mysterious girl approached them, begging for help from the mountain bandits. However, Deus didn't care at all. They were a high-level party that hunted dragons and didn't take on minor quests like that. This made the mysterious girl briefly change her attitude. Deus heard the girl curse him under her breath, but she played dumb when he confronted her. Suddenly, their carriage was destroyed by an axe thrown by the bandits, who mocked them. This made Deus furious, seeing his carriage damaged. He cast a spell at the bandits to burn for eternity. Dark flames caught one bandit, causing excruciating pain. Others tried to extinguish the flames, realizing that it couldn't be put out and the victim would burn forever, never dying, suffering until the end of the world. This demonstrated the severity of the spell. The rest of the bandits were terrified and begged for forgiveness before running away. The mysterious girl introduced herself as a priestess from the Holy Relic, asking for help to save her temple. Deus and Alex, uninterested, were about to leave when the lady stopped them again. She mentioned hearing them talk about dragons and asked if they knew about a hero dressed in a piece of cloth. She told them about the god of the dragons and the true gold god's temple, promising that if they helped drive away the mountain bandits, they would be rewarded with a true gold dragon's helmet. Of course, this seems to be Deus, as he heard about the gold, so they went and started to walk up the long stairs, except for Deus, as he just rode Alex, pleading that they should just fly instead. Now Alex feels suspicious about the lady, as he saw her easily walk up the stairs like it was nothing, on such a steep mountain with the body of a human. But Deus doesn't care about her. To him, it doesn't matter, although he's not sure what the girl is up to. If she even tells a single lie, he will skin her alive. Then he noticed that the god of the dragons, the true gold dragon, wonders if the dragons worship a god. So Alex explained to him that it is not so. It's similar to how he worships the demon realm. The true gold dragon is also the one who stands at the peak of all dragons. He further explained that the demons, dragons, and humans, every living being in their world, only has one god, the one who created the world, called the Creator. This makes Deus feel a bit sad, thinking that the only god favors only the humans, and the dragons and demons are just side characters. But then Alex told him not to doubt that, telling him that God is the only truth, the perfect love. If they can take over horses, which are personally blessed by the light of God, they will all be favored. Deus thinks of that as weird to show that kind of love. Finally, they reached the top of the mountain, and Deus began to enter the temple. As he calls out to the priestess and saw that there are no mountain bandits, the door of the temple suddenly closed. And there she was, the lady from the first chapter, along with the dragon behind her. She praises them, saying they have done well to get to the room. But Deus doesn't care about that. He wanted the golden helmet. This makes the dragon lady offended that the two of them aren't even intimidated by her presence, questioning if they understand the situation they're in and telling them to bow down before her. He stated that the god of all dragons, the Law, is the one who rules over all the dragons, and at the same time, the mother of all dragons, the only golden dragon, a dragon called Golden Law. That's a lot of dragon in one sentence. Alex and Deus are surprised to hear that they've met the god of the dragons. The lady dragon laughed at them, asking if they are surprised because it was beyond their lowly expectations, and told them to bay and be afraid, as he is not one to be trifled with. Deus then thinks that it's amazing the dragon lady is, that the two of them praise her. She commands them that as an apology, she will command them to do something for her. But Deus doesn't really care about her, as he's just picking his nose, not caring about the law of the dragon or the mother of the dragon or anything else. It's just titles. Instead, they're just mocking her and fooling around, making the dragon lady furious. With anger, she told them to stop talking nonsense and demanded forgiveness. In response, Deus doesn't think they have done anything to get involved with her, so she reminds them about the dragon they murdered yesterday, that she is the mother of all dragons, and they just murdered her child. But Deus just laughed it off. The lady dragon then approaches Deus, asking if he has a death wish, and tells them that the place they are standing is the golden chain round. She even knows that Deus is the 666th demon, and tells them they won't stand a chance against her in her domain. Even Alex agrees that fighting her in her domain is dangerous. With that, the lady dragon smiles and looks down at them, telling him to hurry up and bow before her. Deus then looks closer at the lady, asking if she is the true golden dragon, as he can just stick her face to use it, since he will be ripping her skin off her face. Deus, with anger, stated that she knows about him, but it has nothing to do with what she is doing. However, that didn't stop her rage. She hurriedly asked how he dared, but then suddenly Deus interrupted her, asking if she wanted to apologize for deceiving him. This made the lady dragon confused, and she asked what he was talking about. Furthermore, he told her that he didn't come to Earth to cause trouble. He just wanted to live in a quiet village with the intention of becoming a hero's companion. But suddenly, her child showed up in the village, started a fire, and destroyed all the buildings. She didn't explain it as self-defense. He defended himself. This left the lady dragon speechless. Moreover, Deus still thought her plan was completely nonsensical. He questioned the lady if she was the god of the dragons. Then, Alex told them that it is extremely arrogant to think that what she said is always right just because she has power. Moreover, the dragon lady was the one who forgot the peace arrangement and violated it first. She is the one who needs to apologize first. Alex then asked if they were avoiding their responsibility, suggesting they just don't want to take responsibility but want to take her power as well. Now the lady dragon felt nervous and embarrassed after hearing what they said. She wondered why she felt like she did something wrong. Deus and Alex agreed that she was wrong from the start and were about to leave, asking to be let go. The Lady Dragon then stopped them, stating that since they were in her domain, they should listen to her request first. But Deus didn't want to until she apologized first. The dragon, being prideful, didn't want to based on her looks, so Deus told her not to hate it, and that she needed to apologize first, assuring her it would not deprive her of anything. The Lady Dragon did apologize. Deus, smirking annoyingly, patted her head and stated that although he didn't really like it, if she had to apologize, he would gladly accept it. The Lady Dragon, feeling embarrassed and annoyed, stated that it was a bit strange but that she would ignore it since she was a generous lady. With that, Deus was now ready to hear her request. She told them simply that she wanted them to hunt dragons. Hearing this made Deus really annoyed. The god of dragons, the mother of all dragons, was asking a demon king to hunt her own children, and she confirmed it was true. This made Deus even more annoyed. He found it nonsensical that she would betray her own children. Alex then understood what she was talking about and asked if it was because of that purple mycelium. He remembered that it was attached to the dragon's bodies, like a strange virus that seemed to be taking over their consciousness. The Lady Dragon explained that there was indeed something wrong with them right now. These viruses were called hardliners, who rejected the peace agreement signed with the humans. The dragon from yesterday was one of the victims of that virus. She explained that the hardliners were a group who had suffered at the hands of humans, losing their beloved women or having their children hunted for weapons. Despite this, they had to remain neutral. However, those affected by the virus became blinded by anger, attacking towns and inflicting harm on children living in peace with very powerful and strange magic she had never heard of before. The Lady Dragon explained that it would start a war between humans and dragons once again. She told the two that they should catch the hardliners first so innocent dragon children would no longer die miserably alone, all being used as tools of war. Deus smiled, understanding what she was talking about. It was called hunting, but the troublemakers, the hardliners, were manipulating otherwise peaceful dragons, making them mad and suicidal, causing them to attack humans. He knew she wanted them to catch the hardliners before they murdered any humans. She confirmed he was right. Deus then asked what their reward would be. She asked what they desired, and Deus requested 5 dragon scales for each hardliner they caught. Since ancient times, it has been said that weapons made from dragon scales were highly valuable. Every time he caught one, he would take 5 scales from each dragon. In addition, weapons and armor made from these scales could be sold for 1,000 gold. She thought this was unbelievable and told him he was a complete fraud. Deus told her to feel free to think whatever she wanted. He then took out a contract detailing the price and job description, stating that if the contract was violated, she would become his slave. He told her that this was a deal with the devil and warned her not to overlook it since she was risking her soul as well. Knowing the risk but having no choice, she accepted and signed the contract. Deus smiles with delight and tells to her that the contract has been complete. As they were about to leave, the Lady Dragon pleaded with them to make sure to capture the hardliners alive, stating that she didn't want any more deaths. Deus smiled and agreed. With that, the two of them went outside. However, Deus realized he had forgotten something important: the golden helmet she had mentioned. He tried to go back to that realm to retrieve it, but it was too late. They could not enter again. Deus thought about how he had been scammed and how much he really wanted that gold dragon helmet. Alex knew that they could not enter again since they were not dragons. Deus, shouting to the sky, declared that someday he would definitely rip her skin off. We go back to the village and Deus talks about the weapon dealer, surprising Alex. Alex shouts at Deus, asking why he is suddenly an arms dealer again and if he abandoned them all just to sell a few weapons. Deus shouts back, questioning if Alex feels anything when humans hunt dragon babies and make more weapons, dealing on islands. That's what his business is. Deus thinks about the dragon scales that he will monopolize, fantasizing about how much money he will get. He believes that since war breaks out every 100 years, this is the best business that can never fail. He looks at Alex, stating that the arms dealer is just a source of funds for the real plan, and that he has no intention of living as a businessman for the rest of his life. Alex realizes that Deus didn't forget the underworld and thinks that Deus is helping the demons. Deus commands Alex to quickly take Zeke with him and find a useful store. In Deus's mind, the reason why he wanted a business is that his ultimate goal is to build the best building in the fantasy world. As Deus lays down on the bed, he remembers the first time he went to the place where he met the bellboy and the Lady Dragon. He thinks that now he has created a steady stream of money and saved a hero, he can pretty much sit around and become rich. However, he felt a sense of emptiness inside him. He wondered if he craved blood and carnage, questioning himself if murdering and destroying all the humans in the town would make him feel any better. Suddenly, he heard a voice urging him to murder them all, destroy the world, make mankind his slaves, and turn Earth into hell. The voice promised that doing so would end the cycle of reincarnation, of being reborn and dying every 100 years in the underground where the sun no longer shines. He then realized that these thoughts were programmed into him. Instead of dwelling on them, he told himself to get some sleep. Meanwhile, Alex found a suitable shop since its owner had died from the dragon attack and purchased it at a low price. Alex whispered to Deus that once he hears the real plan, he should be so excited that he can't sit still. Deus then thinks the store will turn out well if they ask Zeke, who is a carpenter, to help renovate it. Deus considers Zeke an amazing child, and he can't help but wonder why a hero's bloodline, passed down from generation to generation, could still produce someone classified as F-grade. Alex agrees with Deus, stating that there are quite a few examples where a child born between an F-class hero and a saint becomes the last person standing, meaning it is all just random. Now that Deus learns this, he thinks there is no hope for defective products just because they belong to a saint's family. He asks if the child should just be labeled as grade F. Alex responds that it is ambiguous, stating that it is not a skill but something properly inherited. He further explained that families frequently producing high-ranking warriors or saints will have wealth equivalent to that of a king. Deus responded by stating that, on the other hand, if a child gets an F rank, it is hard for them to shine even if they don't get an F. Alex confirmed this, mentioning that since Zeke himself said he was unafraid, he must have already been ranked as a hero. Hearing this, Deus was furious, shouting about how absurd it is that the demons, who are always defeated by heroes, have their heroism determined by such prophetic things as wealth. Alex agreed with him and apologized for the situation. Meanwhile, we see Zeke selling noodles as one of his part-time jobs. Alex and Deus visited him, asking why he was suddenly selling noodles. Zeke responded that he had some free time at night and decided to give it a try. Intrigued by his noodles, Deus wanted to taste them. Zeke cooked a delicious meal for his master, and to their surprise, it looked very appetizing. As Deus took a bite of the noodles, he was delighted, and even Alex enjoyed them. The noodles were so delicious that both of them asked for seconds, even joking about abandoning heroism to pursue noodle making, which made Zeke shy. Zeke then thanked Deus for everything, mentioning that thanks to him, he was able to buy school uniforms for his younger brother who attends warrior school, and they were all happy about it. Deus, unfamiliar with the concept of school, listened as Zeke explained. He said that it might sound presumptuous, but he was sending both of his siblings to a private warrior elementary school. He may not be strong, but he is confident that they can become real warriors, so he is investing in their education. Suddenly, a customer complained that there was a fly in his soup. We see two nobles eating at the shop, and one of them was displeased with his food. Although he tried to avoid eating at the store, he was so hungry that he did anyway, asking what was in his noodles. Zeke was confident that there were no flies in his shop. Suddenly, the man threw his noodles at Zeke. Deus, while still eating, saw this. The man continued complaining about his food and even threatened Zeke, saying he could shut down his shop. When the man looked closer, he realized it was Zeke, a member of the Hollybeach family. Both nobles laughed at him, mocking the idea of heroes becoming chefs. The nobleman further ridiculed Zeke, mentioning that he knew about his family's poverty and remembered their father coming to his house to beg for work. He mocked Zeke, saying both father and son were poor. This made Deus very annoyed and angry. He looked at the nobles and said he thought he heard a fly buzzing around. Now nervous, Zeke tried to stop Deus. The nobleman, hearing what Deus said, tried to intimidate him by asking if he wanted to die. But then Deus raised his hand and said, "Let's murder some flies." He clenched his fist, and suddenly, the man was crushed by an invisible force, shocking everyone at the scene. The nobleman's wife cried and panicked, trying to flee, but Deus wouldn't let that happen. He used another skill, and his palm appeared to have a black hole in it, which sucked the wife in like noodles, murdering both nobles. With an angry tone, Deus stated that people who don't respect the heroes who risk their lives to fight on their behalf don't deserve to enjoy the earth, so he destroyed them easily. This scene left Alex speechless. As Deus began to eat his noodles again, everyone at the scene was so shocked they didn't move an inch. Suddenly, a letter floated down from the Lady Dragon Yildam. The note said that dragons had appeared at Leah Castle and that Deus must depart immediately to deal with the dragons. With excitement, Deus told Zeke to close down his restaurant for the day. He announced that they had their first mission for a VIP customer, which was very important, and now they were going to make lots of money. The three of them departed as soon as possible, leaving the village at night. While Alex is driving, he noticed Zeke shaking as he looked at Deus. Zeke told Alex that whenever he is with Deus or even looking at him, for some reason he feels an absurd sense of confidence, feeling like the other times when he fought the dragon with no fear at all. But Alex thinks of that as a good mindset. He tells him that no matter what he thinks of himself, Deus has chosen him as a hero. Although he doesn't know about the other times when they were on adventures, Deus recognizes him as their leader and tells him to cheer up and be brave. As they were about to reach Leah Castle, they saw the ice dragon that had invaded it. They noticed a virus in the dragon's head. Far away from the castle, all the villagers had evacuated. Alex guessed that they escaped because of the warriors. Nevertheless, the three of them were now ready for their plan, prepared with their legendary product, Zeke of course. Meanwhile, the villagers were suffering from the cold and starvation, praying to the gods for the hero's help. On the other side, the selfish, obese king enjoyed the warmth of the mage's spell, demanding his castle back as soon as possible. Suddenly, our legendary hero appears as Zeke breaks through the king's barrier, alongside Alex and Deus. All of them are now ready to face and destroy the Frost Dragon. That's it for today's recap. Give us a like and subscribe for more videos. See you next time.